Hello everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to be covering my second ever double feature, but this is a bit different. Today we're going to be talking about the back half of the Dalek invasion of Earth, as well as its own story, The Rescue, today's main story. So really this is more of a single and a half feature, you can call it. Before we jump on in, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll leave a comment, share with a friend who might enjoy Doctor Who, and also hit the bell. I make these every day, so you may want to be like, tuned in, or you may want to tune in so you never miss a review. Let's dive on into it, shall we? So we're going to be talking about parts 4 through 6 of the Dalek invasion of Earth, and it is honestly really, really gripping. 4 through 6 it's a very engrossing type of experience. It really drives in the apocalyptic kind of atmosphere that I mentioned in my previous video. I'm not going to be talking about the plot too much since it's mostly established. I'm not going to be talking about the overarching plot as much since I covered it in yesterday's video, but this one really continues this story, and I'm going to be kind of expecting you to have seen yesterday's video. This one really continues the story of them trying to stop the Daleks from and they're really trying to stop the Daleks from fully taking over. They've already done that, but they're doing the best they can to sort of reverse what happened to them. They discovered that the Daleks have hatched a plan. They're going to be sending this kind of nuke to sort of destroy the Earth, and their main goal. And they find this out like pretty later on in this back half, maybe at part 5, maybe. And what's kind of gripping about this story, about this section of the story, or half of the story, is that everyone is really going their own separate ways. So wherever you turn, there's always an interesting plot to behold, or see and watch. There's Ian and his friend Larry, who's one of the prisoners they met earlier on in the story. They're kind of doing their own thing, working in the Dalek mines. Not quite working, but they're trying to figure out what's going on, and they're trying to put a stop to it. There's also Barbara and Jenny, who are doing their own kind of thing to stop them. They're actually kind of walking around. Well, they're not really trying to stop them per se. Unlike the others, they're more so trying to avoid them. Like saving them, trying to stop the Daleks is of course in their mind, but it's not really the top of the top kind of priority. Their main priority is to survive. Okay, and of course, the Doctor catches up with Susan and David, and they're doing their own thing. They're trying to build some sort of bomb to. Well, not trying to build a bomb. Sorry, that came out. It slipped in my mind. They're trying to help the rebels. As I established, I'm gonna call these rebels. I don't care if that's not what they're called. Survivors, sure. They're trying to help these rebels in their own special way. That's cooking food and gathering resources. Okay. In this part of the story, they encounter that the Dalek Supreme, or the Black Dalek, as he's called in the story, are because his chassis is completely black. He discovers that he has a pet, right? Name's called the Slither, which is really unsettling. The Slither actually kind of tries to bite at and eat Ian and Larry, but of course, being the main heroes, they have certain plot armor, so they kind of deflect it. Part 5, I believe, has a really gripping kind of cliffhanger. It ends with Ian being this little capsule that's about to be lowered and shot up into the sky. So his main goal is to try to diffuse it from the inside with the wires, which of course in the opening of episode 6 he succeeds in doing that because, like I said, plot armor in 60s television program. That's not really subtle at all. So while the Daleks' main priority is to sort of fix the capsule after Ian dewired it, Barbara and Jenny, they're looking for shelter actually at one point, and they find it, but but those shelters, the woman and an older woman and her daughter, actually end up betraying them. Right? They betrayed the location of the Daleks, or the location of them to the Daleks, and they come and basically kick them out. So now they got to work as like kind of slaves. And remember, this is all part 5. Like they're working as basically slaves in the mines, or pretending to be, and they're basically pretending to give out like information about, the plan, but it ends up getting, so their main goal is to go to the Supreme Dalek, which is part of their plan, and and as it turns out, she's not really going to give the plan away, of course not, but like it's kind of a plan, it's kind of its own plan to divert the Daleks, but of course it fails. Her main plan is really funny. I actually found it really clever. She's kind of making up her own historical facts, and she's saying that General Lee and his army are getting ready to attack them from the south or north, cardinal direction. And of course, Hannibal are crossing the Alps to destroy them. And for a while, they believe it, and it's really funny. But the thing about them is that it's historical facts. General Lee and his army is from the civil rights. Hannibal and the Alps are from the ancient Romans, or from ancient Roman history. It ends up getting foiled, though. Apparently, they're not as dumb as they had us believe. And, she kind of fails, and she's captured. She has, like, this magnetic kind of thing capturing her neck. Her and Jenny both, actually. They're strapped right to the bomb so they can destroy them. But, of course, the Doctor and David and Susan end up finding them. David and Susan have a more developed romance. In part 5, they have their first kiss. Which actually leads to the first ever companion departure. So this is a very important story in history of Doctor Who. It shows that, the main cast isn't going to be completely, in its own, it's not going to be constant. It's going to always be, in motion, right? Which is really what the heart and soul of Doctor Who is. It's about change and things fluctuating, including the main character, as we learn later on. But that's a mystery for future you to figure out. Anyway, where was I? That's right. Part 6 ends with them destroying the plan, or destroying, the Daleks, and they actually blow up the bomb, like in a concentrated area, to actually completely destroy all the Daleks in that one source, which is a really clever plan, if you ask me. Overall, this is a really great story, and afterwards, it leads to the first ever companion departure, where they kind of lock Susan out of the TARDIS, and the Doctor delivers his first, really heartwarming speech. I really, really like it. And his first, heartwarming speech, he says that, she's a grown woman now, she needs a place to be stable, and, with someone stable. So she ends up getting married to David, off screen, of course, but they have, a kind of a romance that's officially established in this end of the story. That's the end of this story, and now we're going to be moving on to the next one, which is called The Rescue. The Rescue is a pretty good two-parter. It's actually a two-parter. I literally watched it all in one sitting. It's very well paced. I would say it's kind of a healthy pace, except for what happens in most two-parters, which is when the villain is established, they foil the villain, they escape in the TARDIS. That all happens in the last 5 minutes of part 2, which I found pretty fluctuating. Did I say fluctuating? Sorry, frustrating. It's very frustrating. Yeah. And it's pretty annoying, and it's a common trend, unfortunately, I've noticed in Doctor Who, in two-parters. I think there's an explanation for that kind of thing, which is at first they're kind of meandering, taking the usual classic Who pacing route, but then they realize, oh shoot, we gotta wrap this up. So in the last 5 minutes, kind of cram everything together. But that's not the point. The TARDIS lands on this planet Dido, where there's someone called Coquillion, who is basically terrorizing this small English ship of two people, Vicky and Bennett. This story, it's really tight. Like I said, Barbara Barbara and Ian end up finding Coquillion, and Ian gets into the cave, but Barbara gets knocked out and is pushed down a cliff by Coquillion, and she's hurt for a while. Ian basically gets to the doctor, and they have their own little subplot of like trying to traverse the mountains and try to make their way through it. Meanwhile, Barbara meets Vicky and Bennett for the first time. There's this kind of the subplot of like backstory where they're actually from where Vicky and Bennett from the 24th is from 2493, and they were traveling to a different planet, but like there was like a British colony or whatever that was completely blown up and everyone there died. Bennett was the only survivor, and he's been taking care of Vicky. They're trapped in the ship. They're trapped in the ship for a while, and they end up basically they're trapped in the ship, and they end up like Coquillian meets them. He kind of takes after them. They're kind of terrorizing them in a way, like as I mentioned earlier. However, in the last like 10 minutes or so, it's revealed that Bennett is actually Coquillian. Ever noticed that they're never in the same room together? That's right, because they're the same person. Bennett is actually like, he ends up faking an injury, pretending to be from that colony of British people that died, and he pretends not to walk as an injury from that. But it's revealed that he can walk, and he's actually Coquillian. He ended up killing them all himself. His main master plan, of course, was to kind of like kill the British and then basically blame it on the Dido people, like the aliens of the Dido planet, which is foiled by the ever genius Doctor. They end up taking Vicky on as a companion, and I haven't seen the Romans yet, but she seems pretty promising so far, so that's good. That's the end for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this singular and a half feature, and be sure to like and subscribe. Like and subscribe, and leave a comment, and share. I'll catch you in the next one tomorrow, talking about the Romans.